Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Noelle, and in this short video I'll be sharing my process for this landscape painting. This is the last part of a series of 3 paintings where I painted 3 landscapes with a similar color scheme. I began painting the sky gradient wash by applying a layer of clear water on the top half of my painting. I like to start with my yellows first and then introduce orange, pink, and purple. I find the best way to paint a smooth gradient is to keep the swiping brushstrokes moving in one general direction. In this case, that would be right to left. For the bottom half of the piece, I do the same thing and mirror the sky. After the first layer dried, I thought it looked too light, so I decided to add another layer on top and not worry about separating the sky and the water. The process was still the same as the first layer, but with more pigment. I'll be totally honest, this is a lot easier to do with cotton paper than it is to do with cellulose paper because the pigment doesn't lift as much. I like to add depth to a painting by allowing the objects closer to the viewer to be darker than the objects further away, especially in a painting viewing a large area. In this painting, I feel like I made some of the hills too dark, but the contrast is still present and makes the whole piece feel more atmospheric. The trees I'm painting here are simply just parallel brushstrokes flicking upward. When painting this mountain in the background, I collected several reference photos and used a few details from each one to get the look I was going for. The goal for this piece was to not rely on a single reference photo and invent my own composition, but I still needed some help to get the right natural features that make mountains look so cool. I got too confident because the first 2 paintings in the series turned out so well, and this was planned to be the simplest painting of the 3. When it got to painting the foothills, I made it a bit too dark than I wanted, and I kind of messed up one of them by trying to turn it into 2 hills. After that happened, I went into damage control mode and attempted to restore it back to the way it was. Looking back, I should have just left it, but I did learn something, and now I am less likely to do it again. Similarly to my previous painting featuring ocean waves, I used the dry brushing technique here to illustrate the reflection of the mountain and hills onto the water. The drier my brush is, the finer the details. Also, if you want to know what art supplies I'm using, I listed each one in the description. For the last finishing touches, I paint some small islands with trees in this lake with a dark purple color. I like painting evergreen trees. To me, they are easier than painting deciduous trees, and the mountains where I live are all standing in evergreen forests. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up or subscribing to my channel. Let me know what questions you have in the comments below. You can follow me on my social media. I am the most active on my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching and make it a great day.